Hello and welcome. You're watching To The Point. Is the government justified in rejecting the opposition demand for Sadhvi Niranjan Jyoti's resignation or sacking? Or is it ignoring critical aspects of this matter and undermining itself as a result? That's one of the key issues I should explore in part 2 in an exclusive interview with the Environment Minister, Prakash Javadekar. But first, for 4 days, the Rajya Sabha has been disrupted over the Sadhvi controversy. The cost to the public's exchequer could be as large as 18 crores. Is this justified in a poor country? Or is embarrassing the government on this issue and standing up for principle more important than money? In part 1, we ask, what has been achieved in the last 4 days?
The basic mode in which the government is operating is to not allow democratic process inside the house.
Joining me now to discuss whether the standoff in the Rajya Sabha has been a waste of public money or a valuable battle to uphold principle is CPI Rajya Sabha MP D. Raja, BJP spokesperson Sudhanshu Mittal, Congress MP Shushmita Dev and the chairman of the Hindu group N. Ram. Shushmita Dev, for 4 days the opposition has refused to accept the Sadhvi's apology or the Prime Minister's statement as sufficient. You've demanded her resignation and in the process you've stalled the functioning of the Rajya Sabha. I put it to you, beyond creating a hangama and beyond a political spectacle, what have you achieved?
I think your perspective of it is very simplistic. It is not about the 18 crores that you mentioned that has been wasted. This is a battle of principle, as you rightly put. And the principle is as follows, that Bharatiya Janata Party as a government and as a party is consistently following a pattern of polarizing every election, before every by-election. And in this case, it happens to be a minister who's part of the Council of Ministers, and she has passed a highly, I would say, unconstitutional comment, and I think the government should take responsibility for it. And this has been carrying on right from the UP elections.
Can I put this to you? In 2007, Sonia Gandhi, as the chairperson of the UPA, called a sitting chief minister Maut ka Saudagar. I don't believe she's ever apologized for it nor expressed any regret. If you can get away with that and no one demand any regret from you, nor express it willingly and voluntarily yourself, why are you making such an issue of this, Sadhvi?
See, Mr. Thapar, if you want to roll back time, in that case, even Amit Shah has said a lot of inflammatory things during the UP election.
The point I'm making is that you're suddenly establishing principles today which apply to the Sadhvi, which did not apply to Sonia 7 years ago. That to me is hypocritical.
But this person happens to be a minister in the Council of Ministers.
She was chairperson of the UPA at the time, which is even more important.
In that case, Amit Shah was the president of the BJP.
Precisely. So therefore, where's the moral high ground? You're on the same low earth as them.
But here there is a member of the Council of Ministers who has sworn her allegiance to the Constitution of India.
Mr. Raja, let me put it like this. I'm going to go back to that critical question of cost, because India is a poor country. It doesn't have inexhaustible resources. Parliament costs 2.5 lakhs a minute. That comes to 9 crore during a 6-hour day. For 4 days, that comes to 36 crore. The Rajya Sabha share is 18 crore. Was it worth wasting this quantity of public money in a poor country just to score political points against the BJP?
Karan, I share your concern. As CPI has left, we want Parliament to function. And it is not our intention to disrupt the work of Parliament. Even in the all-party meeting convened by Mr. Venkaiah Naidu, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, I have said this, we are for Parliament to function. In fact, last week the Rajya Sabha
Sitaram Yechury wasn't for Parliament to function. Sitaram Yechury was doing a fair amount to ensure it didn't function.
No, let me finish. Last week there was a calling attention motion moved by me. There was a good discussion. There was a good debate on black money, and 5 bills were passed by Rajya Sabha. So it is not that Rajya Sabha has not been functioning. This week, yes, there was a problem. The problem was of the government, not of the opposition.
Well, be fair.
It is not a question of
be fair, Mr. Raja. Your first demand was the Prime Minister must come and make a statement. You even indicated, as Mr. Yechuri, I believe, did on television, that after the Prime Minister made the statement, Rajya Sabha would function. When the Prime Minister came, made the statement, you then upped your demands. So, in fact, you two have not been fair.
Ms. Karan, I was there. We listened to the Prime Minister with keen rapt attention, and Prime Minister said yes, he has disapproved what the Minister has spoken. It was objectionable. It should not have been done. All these things he said. He also, in a way, justified what the Minister has said, pointing out to her background. And
that's not a justification. That was an explanation. The two are different.
The simple point what we have said, whether it is minister or member of parliament or anybody who speaks against the basic principles of constitution, the secular, democratic, republican values of the constitution, then it is a serious thing. Parliament should send a strong message. It is not an isolated case. What minister has spoken,
I take your point.
It's not an isolated case.
I take your point. You believe this is a case that requires Parliament to send a strong message. I accept your point. Let me come to you, Mr. Mittal, and put the opposite in a sense to you. This is sadly not the first time that the Sadhvi has made that haramzado comment. According to the Navbharat Times, at a rally in Lucknow in March, which was addressed by the Prime Minister, and very possibly with the Prime Minister sitting on the dais hearing her, she made precisely the same comment in precisely the same language. That means she's a serial offender. She repeatedly does and says this sort of thing, and if you do not take action, she'll carry on doing it. So, to excuse it on the grounds of her background, or to excuse it on the grounds that she's inexperienced, doesn't work. She's done this before, she'll do it again.
Karanji, first thing, I don't think she could have used this language before Narendra Bhai, because had she done that, she would have been reprimanded there and then.
Read the Navbharat Times. Read the Navbharat Times. It was at a rally that he addressed, and as I said, very possibly he was there on the dais at the time.
That's what I said. A rally of Narendra Bhai or in his presence are two different things altogether. But I have no brief for that. I mean, her language is not something which can ever be endorsed by anybody. So that's beside the point. I just want to make one point. See, what was the demand of Congress when this statement was made by Sadhvi? They said, we want an apology. They had stalled the parliament on day one saying, we want an apology. So rightly, there was an apology which was forthcoming because there was condemnation of this statement.
Can I stop you? Can I stop you? I don't want to go back into the history of the last 4 days. I'm trying to work out why Parliament didn't function and whether anything of any value was achieved as a result of this standoff. Now, yesterday evening, the opposition offered you a solution. They suggested a resolution passed unanimously by all parties where no one would be named. A resolution that condemns hate speech. You weren't even able to agree to that. Why?
I'm sure the Parliamentary Affairs Minister is working, and there were contradictions in the stand of opposition. While one said something different, the other said something different. I'm again saying, you see, had it not been the speech of Sadhvi, something else would have happened. Somebody would have sneezed in a certain way, and that could have become a reason for stalling the Parliament. Because this is not the cause. The reason why the Parliament has been stalled is not because of Sadhvi, but because of the political manifestation of the frustration there is.
All right.
So let's be very objective. As I said, because when the statement was made, the demand of the Congress was, we demand an apology. The moment an apology came, they said, no, not apology now. We want the dismissal of the minister. So the inconsistency of the stand of Congress itself proves that the intent is not to solve this issue. The intent is basically to stall the Parliament.
Well, I'm not sure. That's your interpretation of the intent. Others will have a very different interpretation. Mr. Ram, let me bring you in. There's no doubt that the Sadhvi's transgression is unforgivable. But when earlier this year TMC MP Tapas Pal publicly threatened to kill his opponents and have their wives raped, Mamata Banerjee readily settled for an apology. Parliament itself, after a perfunctory protest of a couple of hours, accepted that apology, and the matter ended. Now, when the Sadhvi has made a comment, is it right to have a different standard for her compared to what you had just a few months ago for Tapas Pal?
You are asking
I'm
me,
all
Karan?
against double standards, and once somebody says something totally unacceptable, unforgivable, anti-constitutional, anti-our civilization, he or she must go. That's the principle. But in this case, the government has not done the right thing. I think the opposition has done very well to turn the heat on the government and put it in the dock. And what I've just heard from our respected BJP representative on this program brings that out, that they are on the defensive. They will not dissociate themselves from the mindset, the idea of India that they are projecting here. And the only solution to this would be the soft solution. I think the resolution is a very good solution. It provided a way out. It also raises a certain wall against such things in the future. It's preventive. But they will not accept it, because this is a government that does not accept that idea of India that we all stand for. And that's the principle involved. I would say, well done, opposition. You have sent the point out to the country, and also the demand. I think this is a case where Section 153A of the Indian Penal Code is applicable.
Well, that is to be judged, that is to be determined by a judge, not by you or me. There are different interpretations of what she said and whether it amounts to 153 or not. Let me come to you, Shushmita Devi, put it like this. India is a country that's crying out for good governance. You know that there are critical steps that are needed to revive economic growth. You know that there's critical legislation required for social purposes. None of that has happened 4 days. And if you don't give up your demand, it may not happen for another 4. Is it worth continuing this paralysis of the Rajya Sabha at the cost of India's other critical needs and the legislation we want?
I think that's the question you need to ask the government, not the opposition. Because now there's a counter proposal for the resolution. And please understand why this resolution has been put forth. Because let me ask Mr. Mittal a question. Suppose we were not in session. We've seen in the past when statements like this have been forthcoming from other MPs of the BJP, whether it is Sakshi Maharaj, whether it is Yogi Adityanath, where was Mr. Narendra Modi then? It just happens to be a situation where there's a session here, and this is the opportunity for all secular parties to come together and put down a resolution via the parliament, so that in the future, even if we are not in session, it is a precedent that's set for the future.
I want to bring you in, Mr. Mittal, because the point you're hearing is one that many other people also make. That there have been many instances in the last 6 months. Right. The most popular and the best known being all the remarks about love jihad made by people like Kalraj Mishra, who's a member of the cabinet, Lakshmikant Bajpai, who's your UP chief, but also people at a lower level like Sangeet Singh Sohm. There have been comments that are particularly hateful of Muslims made by small-time MPs, like someone who compared Sania Mirza and called her, in fact, the daughter of Pakistan. On none of those occasions did the Prime Minister speak out.
Right.
And it's the Prime Minister's silence that worries the opposition.
Karanji, I think this issue of secularism versus pseudo-secularism has been well settled in the last Lok Sabha election.
No.
The entire plank of accusing BJP, allow me to complete my argument. Allow me to just complete my argument. The entire plank of dubbing BJP as a communal party which wants to raise communal passions for political gains and all that, they have been squarely and decisively rejected by people because they lack credibility. So as far as industry comments are concerned, I have a whole list. I can read out a whole list of comments from be it Digvijay Singh, be it Sanjay Nirupam, be it the General Secretary Satyadev Katara. I mean, whole list. Individual comments which are not in conformity with the standards with which politicians should operate have been made by all and sundry. We have all disassociated ourselves, but stalling the parliament for this comment, and mind you, when you are saying it is anti-Muslim, I don't think she ever used the word Muslims when she was
didn't say it was anti-Muslim. I said the comment made about Sania Mirza being the daughter of Pakistan was an anti-Muslim comment, not this. Mr. Raja, let me put this to you. The Prime Minister has offered an explanation, not a justification, an explanation by saying that this is an uneducated poor woman from a village background, that she's also inexperienced. Can you not accept that? Is this not a moment when a certain, you know and I know, we all make mistakes. To make a mistake is human, to ask for forgiveness is divine, and to forgive is even better. Show a bit of compassion and let this pass. Is this woman worth, and forgive me using that word, is this woman worth holding Parliament up over?
Karan, since you have raised this issue, I must respond to it properly, because it is all the more serious how the ideological indoctrination is done by RSS and other Sangh Parivar outfits. How the people from such a backward background and such a section of the society are being poisoned, and how their minds are injected by venom. This is more serious, and that is what I said. What Minister has said is not an isolated case. Some VHP leaders have said after 800 years, Hindu rule has been established, and some RSS leaders are speaking, all Indians are Hindus, and India belongs to Hindus. This is an affront against the constitution given to us by Dr. Ambedkar and galaxy of leaders. It goes against the secular fabric of our constitution, the republican values of the constitution.
Aren't you reading? Can I stop you?
That is what we are all
Are you
worried.
being fair in reading all of this into the Sadhvi's one comment, Haram Zado? Aren't you adding too much into it?
No, as you said, she spoke in Lucknow in presence of the Prime Minister. She has been speaking such things. I think one has to see it in a sequence. And what Parliament is trying, there should be end to such a hate propaganda, the ideological attack on our constitution.
Mr. Ram,
it is not the question of secularism, pseudo-secularism.
I take your point. Mr. Ram, let me bring you in here.
I want facing a great threat. That's what we should understand.
Mr. Ram, I want to put to you a point the BJP is making today. They're saying, how come in the Lok Sabha, the House is functioning? Protests have been made, but the House is functioning, it's not been disrupted, it continues to do work. And they suggest that what's happening in the Rajya Sabha is that the opposition is exercising the tyranny of the majority at the cost of the functioning of the legislature.
No, I am clear that this is an issue on which it is entirely justifiable to hold up normal proceedings. And in the Lok Sabha, obviously, the BJP is able to push its way, road roll its way through, and it will do it. But it's going to hurt the BJP if they continue this stance. Please note that Prime Minister Modi has not condemned this. He has disapproved it, particularly he's spoken about the language and so on. Don't make this. It's more tactical than going into the heart of the question. If Mr. Modi should drop this minister and the matter would have ended, the alternative was to adopt this resolution, which would be a good signal sent out to the country. And I think both the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha should come together on this issue and settle this issue. That's the constructive way forward, not by arguing that it costs so much and so on.
In the limited time, Shushmita Dev, before we end this particular discussion, I want to look a little bit into the future. The resolution that you were hoping for today, I'll come to you in a moment's time, Mr. Mittal. The resolution you were hoping for, which could have sorted out the situation, hasn't happened. It may or may not be agreed to over the weekend. If it's not, and chances are it won't be, will the Rajya Sabha function on Monday?
Mr. Thapar, we have proposed the resolution. So whether the government is going to accept it or not, it's for them to tell us. So whether Parliament...
They've already indicated today that they haven't so far. Chances are they're not going to change their mind.
Over the media, but there are 9 parties. Please don't forget. That is not just the Indian National Congress. There are 9 parties in the opposition. They have to discuss it with all 9 parties.
But at the moment, they're not discussing with anyone. So I come back to my question. If there is no movement from the government side, will you hold up Parliament on Monday?
Well, we are going to meet. We are going to wait till Sunday and take a decision thereon.
It sounds as if you're saying yes, but you're struggling to say it. Let me put that to you. Mr. Mittal, you heard what Sushmita Dev has suggested. If you don't agree to a resolution, the Rajya Sabha will not function next week as well. How far down the road are you going to refuse something as straightforward as that resolution, which was a sensible solution? It's your legislation that's suffering. It's your government's performance that will then be under question mark. So how long will you let this continue?
First, I don't think there is resistance to anything which is sane. What was being proposed had so many riders that there were serious reservations. But I'll come down to that later.
Don't come to that later. That is the issue here. That is the issue here. Answer that.
1 second.
No, running out of time. Answer that. I don't want to run out of time.
I think the Parliamentary Affairs Minister is seized of the matter, and he'll make positive endeavours to resolve the logjam. But in the past, the Parliament has been stalled for reasons like 2G scams, for reasons like Colgate scams. Now what do you stall it for? For the language used by a minister, for which he has apologized. In which case, the Congress had earlier demanded that only an apology will suffice.
Okay, you made that point earlier.
You
made that point earlier.
Let me tell you one thing.
You made that point earlier. Mr. Ram, on this issue, I know that
the anarchy which Mr. Ram is wanting to perpetrate would be too bad for Indian democracy.
Mr. Ram, I know you believe that this is a good issue on which to hold up Parliament. That message, you say, needs to be sent out strongly. However, for how long do we carry on holding up Parliament? There are many other things in a country like India that Parliament needs to function to do. Those are now not happening. So how long should this carry on for? It's carried on for 4 days. If there is no break, it's this impasse, how long should it continue for?
Karan, reality tells us it will go on till a solution is found and they can meet halfway. The demand was drop the minister, now there's the resolution before us. I don't see why the government cannot find reason to accept this resolution, because from what you say, I've not seen the text, it doesn't name anybody, but it raises, it's a preventive measure, and it does provide a constructive way forward. So let Parliament, let the Rajya Sabha be held up until that solution is found, and let's hope it's found by Monday. If not Monday, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Mr. Raja,
no
I'm going to put that question to you as well.
The point is important.
How long are you prepared to hold up the functioning of Parliament on this issue?
How long?
Karan, in fact, we propose such a resolution should be adopted by the House in the formal business advisory committee meeting, and government side was present, and the government's response was so negative, and government has taken such a rigid position. Today in the House, the deputy chairman himself has suggested let the leaders in the opposition and the government meet and find a solution. Whether government will come forward to find a solution. Run the House is the primary responsibility of the government. As far as opposition is concerned, we are taking a principled position.
We leave it there. Your message is clear. It's the duty of the government to come up with a solution. It's the duty of the government to ensure that the House functions. You're leaving the ball very much fairly and squarely in the government's court. My thanks to all four of my